Your job is going to kill you. You're feeling stressed, and it's your job and the stresses within it that are going to kill you. This is why we need to look at stress. That feeling of maybe when you're feeling as if you're under a car, that weight of the car, or you're perhaps running from a train, or feeling the weight of the world upon your shoulders, or just being stuck in the mud. These are the things that make us feel really stressed, really pressurized. But what is stress? Stress is about looking at the momentary part of, I suppose, feeling overwhelmed and feeling as if you can't cope. And it's just unbearable to manage as such. I'm looking at a study today where it looks at employee stress management and an examination of the adaptive and maladaptive coping mechanisms or strategies as such. Now here within this particular study, they looked at 2,500 non-student employees. And with that, they gave them all the specific option to be surveyed. And to be surveyed so that they could give their feedback about what was their good ways of coping with stress and their bad ways of coping with stress. So of the 2,500, believe it or not, 1,277, that's all that actually partook in the survey. That's a rate of 51%. Now trust me, I've done a lot of different studies in the past, and I've even done a PhD. I've climbed that scale and I've gone to the top level of studying and also research. And with that, trust me, 2,500 is a bang smack in the middle, a huge study. So with this particular study, the people noticed that 35% of employees believed that their job was actually harmful. Now that's a lot of people. That's more than 1/3, just a little bitty over the 1/3. But if you think about it, like 10 people in your job and 3.5, maybe 4 now and then, people feel overwhelmed and that they're actually feeling under pressure, feeling as if they're under a car, feeling as if they are, squeezed with pressure. The weight of the world is on their shoulders, and so on. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that can influence others. What if it's just one is your manager? Oh, really? So 35% feel that their job is harmful, and 42% feel that their job interferes with their family and personal life. Now again, thinking about that, your family or personal life, who wants to actually have a personal life that has, interference from their own job? I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you go to work, your 9 to 5, your standard 9 to 5, you want to wake after having a lovely night's sleep perhaps. And so when you go into work 9 to 5, that's like 8 hours. And perhaps you have traffic and you have all these different things to encounter. You have all these other stresses in life. Then when you come back from work after 5 o'clock, you might actually have traffic. You might have all these other stresses going on external to your job. So why do you actually welcome or even want extra stress that's coming from that 9 to 5 in the first place? So it's not really a welcome thing. This is what has been proven by this particular study. They noticed that a person's family life could be interfered with. Now, family it's a golden thing for many. It's something that we actually wonder, how can I perhaps have my own family one day? How can I maybe get out of my own family because it is too pressurable, it's too stressful? But if you carry across that stress from your family life, from the family that you're born into's life, for example, into your workplace, then you're going to perhaps have more stress replicated within your workplace in the first place. And then if you're bringing more stress from your workplace back into your family life, and then if you really want to grow your own family, have a relationship, it's just all too much. The stress is just bobbling about, doing what it will, harming us. They noticed also that 50%, that's half of those people, those 1,277 employees, felt that the stress was so demanding even 1 year later. Like imagine that for a second. Something that happens today in your work life, something that's like so harmful, perhaps something that has happened you and the boss. And maybe the boss has been one of those, 35% that I mentioned earlier on. Those 3 or so in 10 who feels especially stressed today. And maybe they're stressed from work, but maybe they're stressed from home, their own relationships, their own family. And yet you have that interaction with your boss, and there you are super stressed. And you carry it within yourself for the next year. That's you or your friend. That's 50%. So one of you will be doing that. One of you will be stressed for a year because of one encounter with your boss at work a year ago. Now that's quite a thing to say as such. Now stress causes many things. As I said, it runs through to your relationships. It runs through into other areas of your life. It interferes with your relationships. And it also causes physical damage. It causes heart disease amongst others. So we need to avoid all of these things and try and cope. So how did these people cope, you might ask? And of course, that's what we're here for in this particular video. They coped in many good ways. One was they found family and friends as being very helpful. So if we think about our family, we mentioned a while ago where our initial family, the family we've grown up with, could actually be, lending to that stress. But they could also help us with issues and problems. They might know you through many moons ago, many years ago. They've grown up with you. They've had this genetic familiarity with you. This genetic composition is similar, if not the same. So you're going to have that particular interaction with your family that's unlike even no other. But then the family in itself can only do so much. So you need friends. And your friends can be there to help you. And if we think of the friends that we sat beside at school, our very first friends, these are the friends that have given us this time of life that we were separated initially from our parents, and we were going into school and we just didn't know what was next. We were feeling perhaps overwhelmed, and we just needed someone to be our friend, to go through with us the same things that we were feeling ourselves. And so we ended up sat beside this new person, this brand new person who we didn't choose perhaps, but we're here and we become friends for life. So even though we're perhaps in our 20s or 30s or even older, we can draw off that friendship, keep that friendship up. It's really important because at times of work stress, we need to lean on those people. But there's other friends as well. We can have work friends, work colleagues as such. These people can really help us in our own journey and in their journey too within the workplace. There's familiar things that are going on between us. So friends and family are really going to help us throughout this stressful time of work-stressed times and liaisons as such. Then another thing that they noted in the study was essentially it's good to exercise. Now I could go on all day about exercise. Exercise is really important. It's a way we can express ourselves physically. Now I mentioned a moment ago where heart disease can come from stress and work stress as such. But if it's going from our mind to our bodies, then we can express physically and de-stress physically by exercising. Now you might like the likes of perhaps running, and that's great. You're exercising your flight even, or fight within yourself, and that's wonderful. You're de-stressing physically and you're just getting out there and doing what you need to do to rid yourself of this terrible work stress, this 9 to 5, this rat race, this grind. Then you could also maybe not like running. You might just, for example, jog or walk. Any form of exercise that creates movement is a good thing. Then there's the likes of, other strategies such as yoga. I've done yoga for many, many years, so it's a wonderful thing. And again, it's very physical and you can do it in different ways. There's so many different yogas. I often tell people there's as many different yogas as there are sports. Now, again, you mightn't be sporty, but you might think, hey, there are a lot of sports and there are a lot of sports. So we need to actually use what we have to physically remove that stress in a very adaptive way, in a very positive way. Avoiding these negative things that the study looked on, which was, dealing with stress in a negative fashion, like alcohol. Too much alcohol at a time of stress, it's not going to do you any good. There are so many brands out there of alcohol. We're being pushed to buy. We're being pushed to, well, consume. It's not going to do us any good. It's harmful. And overeating, another common one as well. So again, the brands are everywhere. We can go down any aisle of a shopping centre and just see those brands pushed at us. It's not hard. They're always there. They're on television. They're on the internet. We can see them. And, well, we're exposed to them. But it doesn't mean to say that we need to go and adopt those ways of actually dealing with stress. The solutions are like avoiding these things and to try these things like friends, like exercise, like yoga, like mindfulness that you get from all of these things. And trust me, again, meditation and mindfulness is wonderful because this is what's going to really de-stress us. This is what's going to rid ourselves of all that work pain and make us feel as if we're free. And if you're free, please be free to, well, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have, well, thanks very much. Until next time, have a wonderful day.